All right, good morning. It's morning at day 4 here in Greenwood, Indiana. Yesterday we made a lot of progress with a lot of the volunteers from Mount Pleasant Christian Church and Catalyst Insurance. I don't have Catalyst Insurance, but he was my son's baseball coach. He brought a folks out here with some chainsaws and got to going, and they made a big old dent in a lot of the branches. As well as the Filipino community in Indiana, Greenwood, Indianapolis, and the surrounding areas. A lot of Filipino ladies and gentlemen came out yesterday to help a lot of our friends. So I really appreciate everything, all the work everyone's doing, and the donations. It's really great. And of course, my dad came up from South Carolina. You can see him back there. Let me turn the camera around here if I can do that. So you can see, we can start to see the playhouse now. This tree is visible in that big giant tree in the middle, believe it or not. After about 20 people hacking on it all day long, we've got it down to basically the stump in the middle. And then we've started chopping on all that brush that was in the middle. And I was out there hacking on that giant sycamore tree. It's really dangerous because a lot of those branches are under pressure. So if you're not paying attention when you're cutting the branches will snap like a baseball bat and come back at you. So you got to make sure you're sitting on the right side of the cut. Here's the rest of it. We've cleaned up a lot of the debris. It's starting to make it look a little bit normal. But still a long way to go. I think the TV reporter might be coming out here today, so I want to get our story out there a little bit better. I'll say from an insurance standpoint what I've learned, just for those who are kind of following this for how do I deal with this in the future. The assessor came out yesterday and walked through the house. Initially, of course, the plan is for the assessor to mark down every little thing, every discrepancy. They're going to mark it down. Well, they got into the house and seen some issues with the crown molding where it looks like the entire roof was lifted up and set back down on the house. So there's a gap between the wall and the roof. I didn't even notice it. And as soon as he seen that, he said, we're going to have to order an engineer to come in here and look at this to make sure the house is structurally sound. So that's good. He also, USA is being very generous with, what I could say with their time. I feel like I'm spending a lot of time with them talking on the phone because I'm just really worried about the trees because, at least the covered trees are the ones that are going to keep me from having to spend all of my money to take down. It's really just these out here that are going to be my responsibility. So taking a lot of time, asking a lot of questions, but the assessor for USA, very patient, very nice guy. And I know it's possible to get jerks, and he even admitted that, right? It's possible that you end up getting you draw the short straw and you get a jerk assessor who is not willing to talk to you about any of the gray areas. They're not really willing to help you out with information. All they're doing is trying to make sure the company makes profit. So if you go with a fly-by-night agency, and I've heard State Farm, unfortunately, State Farm is not there in Whiteland right now. State Farm apparently is fighting all of the claims in the last tornado that came through here about 2 months ago. So thank goodness I do not have State Farm, because that's just one stressor on top of all of this that I don't think people can bear, right? It's crazy that you would pay for insurance, especially with a company that has such a jingle about State Farm being there, and then they're not there. So anyway, enough about that. If there's somebody in the neighborhood who has State Farm and they're dealing with that, I have complete empathy for what you're going through. This is one of my favorite trees. It's where our swing is at, but this thing probably going to have to come down. It is a huge tree. But this debris is going to become a problem. I've seen something online last night that it might be next week before anybody comes out and picks this stuff up, because they don't have contracted folks to do it. That don't make no sense, right? Highway department, city departments have trucks, they have those big claws. Maybe it's not available today because they were already working on something else, but goodness gracious, a week, this is going to pile up huge. It's going to be a huge pile up. I would say if people want firewood, come on out. There's a bunch of black oak or black walnut firewood out here. Come on out and grab you some firewood. Help make the pile smaller. But we still haven't really got to documenting our personal property. We've taken as many pictures as we can, but it's not something that we can do to sit around on a computer and an Excel spreadsheet and do that just yet. We got too much stuff outside to do. So when you go through something like this, you're supposed to document every little thing. So if you're out here in this field and you find a piece of a chair, you got to take that chair, put it in a little place, take a picture of it. There, actually, here's a piece of a chair. Speaking of that, so this is a chair from a lawn chair for our kids, and it represents money essentially. Because if I'm not, if I'm going to put a claim in, I had this chair, I own this chair, I have a right from an insurance claim to get money back for this chair. In the long run, you may or may not buy every single thing exactly back the way it was. The other part of it is that it's depreciated. So some things are depreciated. So say it's a $100 chair, they might give me $50 for it, or $25 for it, or whatever. I have to buy that chair in order to get the money back, right? The up to the $100. They'll give me the $25, and if I want to pocket that, I can pocket it. But if I want to buy the chair, and it goes back to $100, then I send the receipt in and they'll give me the money for it. So that's how that works. So you'll end up with a significantly lesser amount of money initially. So you won't have enough money, like cash, to buy everything one for one. You'll end up having to buy stuff either over time in phases. So buy something, get reimbursed for it, and then buy something else, then get reimbursed for it. Unless you've got credit cards and you're willing to float that, which I'm an anti-credit card guy, so I would try to avoid that if I could, because if they delay a little bit on their payment, and then you're paying interest on something you didn't need to pay interest on. And why pay interest on anything? So, all right, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for, like I said, once again, sharing this GoFundMe. Thank you for the donations that came through so far. I would call out, there's several folks, Steve Singer, Sonia Fernandez, and I'm probably missing them all because I'm just glancing through it, but Dave Christie, huge generosity. Steve Singer was out here yesterday with his chainsaw till dark, and he's contributed a significant amount of money here. I really appreciate it. Can't have better friends than these folks. So thank you very much.